We live by the ticking of a clock. This small machine on the wall or on our wrist tells us when to wake, when to work, and when to rest. It is a human invention, a way to measure our lives in neat, equal pieces. We have become so used to this mechanical rhythm that we forget it is not the only way to experience time. The sun rises and sets, the moon waxes and wanes, and the seasons turn in a slow, graceful dance. These are the original clocks, the ones given to us by the Earth herself. They do not demand the same thing from us every single day. They invite us to change with them, to live in harmony with the world around us. Daylight saving time is an idea born from this mechanical way of thinking. It suggests we can save daylight, as if it were money in a bank. We push the hands of our clocks forward in the spring and back in the fall. We do this to make more use of the light, to fit more work or activity into our evenings. The intention seems practical from one point of view, but it is a point of view that sees time as something separate from nature. It is a tool to be managed for human productivity. This way of thinking separates us from the web of life. We begin to believe we can control the day itself, bending it to fit our schedules. This concept of controlling time is a very Western idea. It grows from a worldview that puts humans at the top, separate from and in charge of the natural world. But from an indigenous perspective, this is a lonely and dangerous position to be in. We are not separate from nature, we are a part of it. The rhythms of the earth are our rhythms too. When we try to manipulate time for our own purposes, we are pushing against the very currents that sustain us. We are ignoring the wisdom that is held in the land, in the plants, and in our own bodies. The sun does not need saving, it needs to be honored. The debate over daylight saving time often focuses on convenience or energy savings, but it rarely asks a deeper question. What does it mean to live in right relationship with time? What if time is not a resource to be exploited, but a gift to be received? The act of changing our clocks is a small one, but it represents a much larger story. It is the story of a culture that has grown distant from the Earth's teachings. It is a story that values a consistent, year-round schedule for work above all else. But nature does not work that way. And by forcing ourselves to, we lose something precious. In many indigenous traditions, time is not a straight line marching forward. It is a circle. It is a spiral. It follows the recurring patterns of the world. The time to plant is not determined by a date on a calendar, but by the feel of the soil and the return of certain birds. The time for ceremony is often tied to the full moon or the turning of a season. This way of life is built on paying attention. It requires us to listen with all our senses to the messages the earth is sending. It is a relationship of reciprocity, where our actions are guided by the needs of the land and the community. Our bodies are also tuned to these natural cycles. For generations, humans, like so many other beings, were more active in the bright, long days of summer. We gathered, we built, we celebrated. In the darker, shorter days of winter, we rested more. We told stories. We allowed our bodies and the land to recover. This is our biological inheritance. Daylight saving time asks us to fight against this deep, ancient wisdom. It forces our bodies into a state of alert when they are naturally inclined toward rest. It disrupts our sleep and disconnects us from the gentle, seasonal ebb and flow of energy. This cyclical understanding of time shapes a different idea of work. In a capitalist system, work is often narrowed down to activities that generate profit. It is measured in hours and dollars. But in an indigenous worldview, work is much broader. It includes all the activities that sustain life. Tending a garden is work. Caring for an elder or a child is work. Telling stories that pass on knowledge is work. Resting to restore your spirit is work. The goal is not simply to increase production. The goal is to ensure the well-being of the entire community, including the land, the water, and all our relations. When we see time as a circle, we understand that periods of rest are just as important as periods of activity. A field must lie fallow to regain its nutrients. A bear must hibernate to survive the winter. Humans too need seasons of quiet and restoration. The constant push for productivity, symbolized by the logic of daylight saving time, ignores this fundamental truth. It treats us like machines that can run at the same speed all year long. But we are not machines. We are living beings, woven into the fabric of a living earth. We thrive when we honor her rhythms. The logic behind daylight saving time is designed for a very specific kind of life. It is built around a 9-to-5 workday, a schedule that is supposed to maximize economic activity. The extra hour of evening daylight is meant to encourage more shopping, more driving, more consumption. It is a schedule that serves the economy first. But what about the people who do not work these hours? What about the farm workers who rise with the sun, regardless of what the clock says? What about the caregivers, so often women, whose work never fits neatly into a 9-to-5 box? Their lives and labor are made invisible by this system. This objectification of time, treating it as a thing to be managed and sold, has a high cost. It creates an inhumane work culture where we are always expected to be on. Rest becomes a luxury, not a necessity. Our work time bleeds into our lifetime, as technology keeps us connected to our jobs at all hours. Scholars have written about this slow professor movement, a response to the constant pressure to produce more, faster. This pressure is the same logic that tells us to save daylight. It is a logic of extraction, taking as much as we can from the day, from the earth, and from ourselves, without thinking about renewal. This disconnect from natural rhythms is not just a personal problem. It is at the root of our largest ecological crises. A culture that believes it can dominate time is a culture that believes it can dominate nature. This thinking encourages overwork and overconsumption. It tells us that the Earth's resources are limitless and exist only for our use. We clear-cut forests, we drain wetlands, and we pollute our waters because we see the world as a collection of objects, not as a community of subjects. Changing the clocks is a symptom of this deeper illness, this profound alienation from the living world. The choice to ignore nature's time is a choice to ignore our own well-being. It affects our health, our relationships, and our spirits. We become tired, stressed, and disconnected. We forget how to simply be. We forget the joy of watching a sunrise without checking the time. We forget the peace of a quiet, dark evening. By constantly trying to manage and control time, we lose the ability to inhabit it fully. We live on the surface of our days, rushing from one task to the next, instead of living deep within the sacred flow of moments that make up a life. What if we changed the conversation? Instead of arguing about whether to keep daylight saving time or switch to permanent standard time, what if we asked a different question? What if we asked how we could reduce the number of hours we are expected to be profitable? This shifts the focus from managing time to reimagining our relationship with work and with life itself. It opens up the possibility of creating a more just and sustainable existence for everyone. It is a conversation that leads us back to the Earth's wisdom, where the goal is balance, not endless growth. We can make practical changes in our modern society. We can advocate for shorter work weeks, for more flexible schedules that honor the needs of families and communities. We could create policies that value caregiving and community work as essential labor. Imagine a world where our schedules were more aligned with the seasons. Perhaps we could work slightly longer hours in the bright summer months and have shorter days in the winter, allowing for more rest and reflection. This would not be a radical new idea, but a return to a very old and sensible way of living. This is not about abandoning technology or going back in time. It is about braiding together different ways of knowing. We can use our scientific understanding of circadian rhythms to confirm what indigenous wisdom has taught for millennia. We are healthier and happier when we align ourselves with the cycles of light and dark. We can use our modern tools to create systems that support this alignment, rather than fight against it. It is about choosing a future where our economy serves our well-being, not the other way around. It is about remembering that we belong to the earth. Ultimately, this is a call to listen. To listen to our own bodies when they tell us they are tired. To listen to the land as it moves through its seasons. To listen to the wisdom of cultures that have never forgotten their place in the family of life. Healing our relationship with time is a powerful step toward healing our relationship with the earth. Let us stop trying to save daylight and start learning to savor it. Let us honor the gifts of both the light and the dark, and weave a way of life that is worthy of the beautiful, breathing world that sustains us all.